Hey, what's up investors? The People's Mentor is here, and today we're going to discuss pretty much how I buy and ultimately invest in multi-unit properties. And this is what I like to call the ultimate guide to investing in multi-unit properties. Now, at the time of this recording, or whenever you're seeing this video for the first time, I was successfully able to build a $1 million multi-unit portfolio comprised of 72 rental units, as well as flip 10 properties, as well as consulted 21 of our clients to obtain cash flow and rental units themselves since 2018. And by the way, we typically do out of state because they have higher returns in safer neighborhoods, because you might be living in an area in which returns, the cash flow, or the neighborhood is just not that great. So we want to make sure we be strategic in where we place our investment dollars. All since 2018, plus still managing and maintaining a property management company. Now, don't get me wrong, it hasn't always been this way. It took me a long time to get where I'm at today. Heck, I didn't even quit my day job until I was 30 years old. And if I can do it, an old dog like me, then you can too, no matter where you're at in the world or what stage in life you're in. Now, in case you're not familiar, multi-units are my favorite type of investment. I just love doing the work once up front and getting paid for years on end. Multi-unit properties are easy to get financed as long as you do it right using our system. Now let's dive into my 4-phase system to help you get some multi-units. Phase 1, find the money. Now during this phase, this is where we take a look at your financials. We take a look at your personal financial statement, your credit report, your tax returns, your W-2s, everything that relates to you as an individual as well as a business person if you happen to have a business or a current real estate portfolio. So that way we can see what are the best mortgage options that fit your needs as an investor as well as what you qualify for. So that way we can match you with the perfect deal. And also during this phase of finding the money, not only do we screen you pretty much for the mortgage, but also help you raise the capital. Meaning maybe you can use business credit to acquire the property for the down payment, reserves, soft costs, and closing costs. Or perhaps you can leverage a family member or friend using private money. Perhaps you can pull out money from your retirement account. Perhaps you can liquidate some stocks or bonds you may have and use that towards a property. So we help you with all that analysis. And last, we pretty much do a thorough qualification process for you and help you liquidate the capital if need be. If you're using business credit, because many of you may be having those questions, well, how do I convert it to cash? We'll show you every step of the way once you're joining our program for phase 1, find the money. All right, phase 2, find the deal. Now this is where we go through our 4-step process where we find a property that's a winning, cash flowing, multi-unit property, but the only difference, we're actually doing it for you. So let me break down what we actually do during this phase 2, find the deal or the property, in other words. First part that we do in find the deal, we send out the hound dogs, right? Pretty much our deal finders. So they can fetch you a deal that meets your cash flowing needs, right? Meaning we target our listing agents or buyer's agents. We also target online resources. We also target wholesalers, direct mail campaigns, a lot of different lead pools, right? Because you want to be able to have different sources for deals. And a lot of deals come to us, right? Because we do a lot of deals with these deal finders. So they want to continue to throw us a bone. So as we go through all these deals, we might look at 100 deals to find that one sweet cash flowing deal, or that winning multi-unit property that I just outlined for you, right? So we look at 100 of them. And the ones that actually fit our criteria, meaning it's cash flowing, it has a decent return, you get it with some built-in equity, it's in a great neighborhood, or a safe neighborhood I should say, right? Not a beat up, scary, let me not go in this neighborhood at night. No, that doesn't fit our criteria. So we want to make sure it fits our investment criteria for you. After we do that, we start submitting LOIs. Those are letters of intent. In other words, they're offers. And with the offers, we outline the purchase price we want to acquire this multi-unit property for, as well as the terms as well. So we send that out. And of course, not every offer gets accepted. But the ones that do, we negotiate back and forth, again, on your behalf. So let's say the LOI did get accepted. That's great news. Next thing we do is the deal presentation, meaning we'll say, hey investor, guess what? Here's a sweet deal that we have for you. Here's the cash flow. Here's your cash on cash return. Here's the ROI that you're looking for, your rate of return you're looking for. Also, here's the cap rate, the capitalization rate. Here's some built-in equity. Here's some information about the neighborhood and so forth. Would you like to move forward with this deal? And of course, if it meets our metrics, you'll say yes. And if so, then we make sure we reach out to the agents or the deal finder, whoever found this deal, and say, hey, let's lock this property down under contract, meaning let's get it under an AOS, an agreement of sale. That's another fancy word for a contract. Let's lock it down to the point that you own it 100%. And let's make sure that we put all of our contingencies on there just in case that you need to back out the deal, no harm, no foul. Contingencies such as appraisal contingency, title contingency, finance contingency, and so forth. Now, phase 3, perform due diligence. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this 4-step process. This is where we take you through our due diligence checklist to make sure that this property that we found for you, that you have it under contract so that you can start getting paid, getting that cash flow right away. We make sure that it's actually legit. We make sure that we trust but verify all the numbers on the property. We want to make sure that it's a perfect deal for you. One of the items on our checklist for due diligence is, of course, the soft cost orientation. So this is where we actually have a call with you and say, hey, we got this property under contract. Now it's time to start paying for some of these soft costs. Soft costs are costs that you incur prior to closing, such as you might need to form an entity, depending on what mortgage that you're using. And you might have an entity right now in your state. You might be based in California, and let's say you want to invest in Pennsylvania, where most of our clients get deals in, right? And you might say, hey, being that I have an entity here in California, do I have to form another entity in Pennsylvania? Yeah, maybe, right? You could form another entity, because if you're buying an investment property out of state and you want to hold it in an entity, that entity legally has to be able to do business in that state. So either A, you can create a new entity in that state in Pennsylvania in this scenario, or B, you can just take your existing entity you have in California and it's called foreign filing your entity in another state. But we'll go through all those nitty-gritty once you in this program, right? But this is one of the soft costs, entity formation. Another soft cost that you may incur will be property inspections, right? Appraisals and so forth. So we just let you know, hey, these are some of the costs that you have to start spending so that we can perform due diligence to make sure that this deal is as good as it says it is according to the listing. So after we go over this soft cost orientation with you, we actually reach out to the seller or the seller's agent, whoever's representing the seller, to gather a lot of the financial due diligence documents. So we don't want you to send out any earnest money, which is like your good faith deposit that you're going to buy the property. We don't want you to write any checks for the earnest money deposit or hand money, which is also called, until the seller first and foremost provides us with some financial due diligence documents, such as we need the leases, we need the rent rolls, right? We need to see your tax returns, right? Just to make sure that the things that you claim in your taxes actually line up with what you're reporting on the listing. So we need that plus a ton more other documents from the seller. So once we receive all these documents, that's when we start doing the financial analysis. Okay, we got the leases. All right, I see in unit 2, the rent is $700, unit 3 is $705, unit 4 is $708, okay. Based upon the leases, the average rent is about $700 a month. You know what? Let's check the market rents through our online sources, as well as check, let's say, public assistance to see how much they actually pay for the rent in that area, to see if it actually lines up. And who knows? There could be a discrepancy, right? That, hey, seller, how come you're getting $700, but according to public assistance or the market rent, they get $600? How are you getting $100 more per unit? It raises a question, all right? You want to get letters of explanation, or it could be to your benefit. So for due diligence, not only do we outline discrepancies in that case, but also value add opportunities. Then we may realize, well, hold on, the seller's getting $700, but I'm looking at Section 8, and they actually pay $800 a month for a 3-bed, 2-bath, and if water's included. So that's a value add opportunity of $100 additional cash flow per month that you can obtain. And if you're getting a 4-unit, for example, that's an additional $400 of potential cash flow you can soon realize once you turn over those units, right? So it's important for us to gather all the documents from the seller, review them, look for discrepancies and value add opportunities. Now, there's a discrepancy, meaning, hey, you said it was this amount, the revenue, but it's lower. Or, hey, you said the expenses for the water bill were $2,000 per month, but upon performing due diligence, it's actually $3,000. Whoa, that's a huge $1,000 difference. For discrepancies, we negotiate cash back at closing on your behalf. Now, for the value add, we also present that to you as well to let you know, hey, by buying this property as is, yes, there's still cash flow, but you can get much more cash flow once you turn over these units. Now, that's just the financial aspect of the due diligence, right? But we also do the physical, meaning, hey, investor, guess what? It's time to order that property inspection report by a certified property inspector, because I made that mistake. I went to a property and I didn't order a property inspector. This is years ago when I just got started. And I said, yeah, everything looks right to me in this property. You know, I'll buy it as is. I didn't check the roofs. I didn't see that the chimneys were crumbling. Why? Why didn't I catch that with my naked eye? Because I'm not a certified property inspector. So you want to make sure you have a great one on your team that's professional, responsive, as well as thorough with their reports. Not just saying that the furnace in Unit 2 is bad, but no, the furnace in Unit 2 has a life expectancy of 3 years. I highly recommend that you get it replaced. And that's what we negotiate on your behalf. We negotiate, again, cash back at closing for major and safety-related repairs. Period. Major meaning, is the roof bad? Is the foundation somewhat shaky? It's not structured? You know, it's crumbling, right? It's leaning to the side, right? That could be an issue. Or hey, is this property also have environmental issues? Meaning there's mold, there's mildew, there's asbestos, there's termites. All those things we discover in the property inspection report, right? And safety, it could be pretty much safety, but it doesn't have to be a major expense. But let's say you're going up the steps and the handrail is not securely fastened to the ground. It's shaky. So that can be a tripping hazard. That can be a hazard simply because it's not secure. Those type of things are non-negotiable in our book. So if it's a major item or a safety item, we negotiate cash back at closing on your behalf, or we make sure that the seller fixed it right and we inspect it to make sure it was done right by a certified contractor. So you see, with their due diligence checklist, everything from the financials to the physical gets inspected thoroughly using our team and our resources to negotiate credits back at closing on your behalf, value add opportunities, or we make sure the seller fixes the things him or herself. Now we're up to phase 4. This is the acquisition and closing of the property. Now this is the phase in which we make sure we do all the right steps in our 4-process system so that you do none of the work and we do all the work for you. So this is pretty much what we do in this final phase, phase 4, right? This is the final lap. We make sure that the appraisal comes in, right? And that you actually bond it with some value add opportunities, some built-in equity, right? Also, after the appraisal, we want to make sure that we do an orientation with you once we receive the HUD or the settlement statement, which outlines how much money you have to bring to the closing table, what credits you will receive, whether it's from rent proration, security deposit credits, or cash back at closing for repairs, things that we outline in phase 3. We go over all that with you and we verify, because sometimes the title company or the seller or the real estate agent make mistakes on the HUD. It happened to me several times where I'll see an appraisal fee of $700 and I say, hey, no, I already paid for the appraisal in phase 3. Why are you charging me this again at closing? And the lender will say, oops, my bad, I didn't realize it. Not saying they were doing it maliciously, right? Some people make mistakes, but you want to make sure you check it thoroughly, and that's what we do on your behalf. And that not only do we do the orientation, go over the HUD, but we also structure the closing. So if you want to do it in person or remote, and I highly recommend doing it in person, only because I like establishing rapport with people. When I go to the closing table, I now have 2 new people that I want to reach out to. The seller's agent, the person who's representing the seller, because that person may have more deals for me in the future, so I want to shake his or her hand and get their contact information. And of course, the seller, because the seller is selling this one property, let's say it's a 4-unit, who knows, she may have other properties in her portfolio she's trying to liquidate. I'm building that rapport. I'm going to get her phone number while I'm there. Now, don't get me wrong. Most of you are investors who are very, you get things streamlined, right? You might have busy lives. You have, wife, kids, husband, your father. You got all this stuff going on, right? You have multiple hats. So you're thinking, hey, well, I want to be able to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to actually fly and show up to the property if I'm buying out of state. Is there any way I can do this remotely? Of course you can. And it's so easy. Only thing you do is, oh, this is the HUD? Okay, great. Oh, wait. Only thing I gotta do is just sign this paperwork in front of a notary, FedEx it out to the closing company, wire the funds, and that's it. That's it. That's all you gotta do. So it's just depending on you, if you wanna close in person or do a remote, but what we do, we schedule that on your behalf. And last and certainly not least, we go over property management, because we want to make sure that at the time of closing, we give you some insight in regard to whether it's best for you to manage the property yourself or hire a property management company that we screened to make sure that they're a reputable company, because that's going to be an important part in your investment strategy moving forward, having a solid property management team to make sure that you're maximizing the value that we discovered in due diligence, right, when we talked about showing you the value add opportunities, as well as making sure your property is being up to kept and that you have great tenants in that property who are paying their rent on time every month. So in this phase, in phase 4, that's the final lap. That's the point where you close. And if you show up to the closing table in person, you have the keys in hand. There's nothing sweeter than that. To me, that's the best feeling, is when you show up to the closing table, you sign off on some paperwork, and the property is yours. But guess what? With our 4-step process, you do none of the work. We do it on your behalf. Well, there you have it, a complete and passive approach to building your real estate business. And by the way, I hope you were able to glean a lot of good information from this video. And if you're interested in learning more about our 4-step process or join our program, all you have to do, my friend, is just click the link below in the description. And once you apply and we determine that you're a good fit for our program and we're a good fit for you with your investment strategy, then we'll give you a call. One of our team members from 100% Finance would love to reach out to you. As always, guys, this is to your success. Let's get to some money. Peace.